the leaders that we've had on this call here today. I know I say this every now and then, but I truly feel that this Zoom here this morning is one of the most special that we've ever had. This is our direct upline. The fact that, it's amazing to have a direct upline, but it's second of all to have a direct upline that is one of 7 founders of this entire company. And listen, we're at a really extremely special time in our business here. Just so you guys know, before I pass it on to Coach here, and he's gonna rock and roll with this, you guys need to know, right? Coach Rusty, started back in 1972, right? On a part-time basis. You guys know he was a high school basketball coach, and he'll share his story here in a bit, but was at the time the #1 district leader in the entire company. Okay, became a regional vice president in 1977, became an MVP of MVPs in 1986, Hall of Famer. I'm talking about $1 million income earner. Not only that, the highest accolade that you can ever earn in Primerica, which is Circle of Champion. His lifetime cash
You froze there, Jason.
150 of them make over $100,000, and he's got $5 million income earners, soon to be 6, Coach, soon to be $6 million income earners, because the Aviator Nation is after it. Coach, y'all help me give a special and warm welcome to the coach of coaches, Coach Rusty Crossland. Let's go, Coach.
Thank you, Jason. First of all, good morning. It's excuse me, it's early here in Colorado. I have had my coffee, so I probably won't stumble too much. But every time I see that video that Art put out, Jason, the first thing that comes to my mind is he is so full of crap. He is so funny about that. But I'm so honored to have someone of his stature feel the way he does. And we did have an unusual beginning, and the way we started and the way we built the company. Art always talked about. Let me turn my light on here for a second. There you go. Art always talked about, we wanted to build our company, and ladies, just please forgive me for saying this right up front, but Art wanted to build his company like we build the company like we build a sports team. He always used to say football team, and we always used to correct him about that. But and if you stop and think, if you've ever had the opportunity in anything, and I know Jason, you and Eric have had plenty of opportunities to to understand this, is that there is something unusual about a team. There's something unusual about camaraderie. There's something unusual about how how you think and how you act and how you react to certain situations. And I think one of the, I just go back to my coaching experience, and when things seemed to be the darkest, which in the beginning of A.O. Williams was like every day, it seems like teams that are connected rise to the occasion and do what's necessary. They play a little harder. They work a little harder. They do things with a little bit more intensity, and excuse me. And so that's how the A.O. Williams experience, Jason, really developed, because we had a bunch of coaches and who had a lot of lifetime experiences, and we just applied those experiences to building teams, to taking on the competition. It wasn't Art always referred to the guys in the wrong color jerseys, and we looked at it that way. They were in the wrong color jerseys, and it was our responsibility, to take them on and correct the injustice that they had perpetrated on the consumer. And when Art wrote the book, Coach, I hope all of you have had an opportunity at least to read most of that. One of the things in there, he talked about all of the original people like he was doing there on that video. And the thing that struck me the most about that in those early days is the first thing that struck me was that we were right. What we were doing and what we did, we were right. And we made a huge difference in the lives of many, many, many people, not just myself and my family, but just so many people. And I told Art personally when the book came out that my greatest joy and my most humble attitude was that Rusty Crossland had a small part to play, in this thing that I call, today the Primerica experience. Back then it was the A.L. Williams experience. And I think that, that adversity, makes those that are willing to compete better. And I think that's what really drove us, that we knew we were right. We were morally right, ethically right, mathematically right. We were doing the right things. We were telling the right kind of story to the American, and then obviously eventually the Canadian, and then Jason, you and Eric and your mom and dad obviously were in Spain for all those years. We were just telling a story, and we knew we were right. And I talk about the math, morals, and values all of the time, and that really separates us from from a lot of our friendly opposition. And that's a key. And I think for all of you that are here, that are on this Zoom today, that are fairly new and just getting started, and I have to tell you that the Primerica experience for new people, is I always talk about pushing, and I know real quick, it's 58 degrees here this morning, Jason. I don't know what it is in South Florida. And then I was thinking, that wasn't Garth Brooks singing that music that you played, that was a little different for me, but the thing that we have to understand is that we were right, and we responded to the competition. And when you respond to the or the opposition, if you want to go that way, if you respond in the right kind of way, and you use the math and the morals and the values that we talk about, it's pretty tough to lose. But for the new people on this, the newer people, in the beginning, I always referred to the Primerica experience as like pushing a snowball up a hill. Now, for all of you in South Florida, that's really foreign, okay? But if I can sort of give you my impression of that, if you take a snowball and you start rolling it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You have to push it and push it and push it and push it and push it. And if you're pushing it up a hill, which you probably all are aware that in the beginning of your business, it's, you don't have all the answers. You're not totally sure of, what you're doing. There are things that discourage you. And I always say, Jason, if you haven't had any adverse experiences in Primerica, it's because you haven't done anything yet, because life will give you what you're willing to expect. And the business, is going to throw things at you no matter how good you are or where you are. But once you get that snowball up to the top of the hill and you push it over the other side, it starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger by itself. And that's what the Primerica experience is all about. You got to get that snowball moving up the hill. You got to put everything you got behind it. You got to keep pushing hard and pushing hard and pushing hard until you get it to the top. And then once you get it to the top, it sort of goes by itself. Just to give you an example, and I say this just, and one of the things, you know, I'm not one of well, no, I am not one of the type, I am not the type of person, you know, that talks about myself a lot. I let Jason talk about me. And, but the key here is that from about 1990, 91, 92, in that area. So what's that, 20, 30 years ago, 30 years ago? Okay, that's the last time I really had any really consistent base shop. So we have been working with our team over the last, you know, 25 plus years to build more RVPs, because the responsibility of everybody on this Zoom is to build successful people. Now, it's okay to be a great salesperson, okay, but if you want to build permanency and you want to build a business where you start to realize the magic of compound people, you got to build successful people. And so over that period of time, you know, I mean, the company has paid my family, you know, more than $80 million. And I don't say that, you know, to brag to you. I just say that to you, that you understand that if you can build successful people, this business will pay you forever. I've just recently had my first great grandchild, and you know, which is sort of, you know, I was going to say weird, but it's sort of a different feeling, you know, when you get to my age. I have this October, you know, will mark the beginning of my 50th year. 1972 is when I started, you know, so, but I've already started, you know, a program for my great granddaughter. Her name is Marley June, and she lives right now in Ozark, Alabama. And you know, and so I'm very family oriented, and so I wanted to make sure that whatever I did was a reflection, a positive and great reflection on my family and the future of my family. And so little Marley June, you know, God willing, you know, will never have to worry about a whole lot, you know, as long as she behaves herself, you know, and the rest of my grandkids and my kids and so forth. And so, you know, that's sort of tells you a little bit about the feeling of how the influence that Art Williams had on me and my thinking. And you know, Jason, you and your mom and dad, Eric, are such incredible leaders. You have built, obviously, looking at this Zoom, incredible people that want to follow you, that want to be a part of this great Primerica experience. And it's so gratifying to know that, you know, your mom and dad have started something that will, I mean, I know, you know, you and Bryn and Jackie and Eric, I mean, you got your babies now, you know, and believe me, they will grow up fast and they'll have babies, and, you know, I mean, it just zooms by. But because of what your mom and dad, you know, have decided, you have an opportunity for your kids and your grandkids, and someday your great grandkids, and everybody else on this, you know, if you follow what I always call it, the FTYBR experience, and that stands for follow the yellow brick road. All you have to do is do what your leaders tell you to do. And Ed Devon and Jason and Jackie and and Bryn and Eric. I mean, you know what I mean. I get those mixed up sometimes, but you know what I mean. Those leaders, they're the right kind of people. They understand what it takes to build successful people. Their heart and their head, are in the right place. And there are very few people that you can talk to and have as mentors and leaders that truly understand the gift that we have and have the ability to give it back to you. And that's what these great leaders that lead you down there in South Florida. And I saw Willis on here also, and guys like that. I mean, they are lifers. They are not going to let you down. They are going to continue to push and continue to push and continue to pull each one of you, if you're willing, to get to the places that you want to go, and they're going to help you along the way. And so, I don't know why I'm editorializing this morning, Jason, but what can I say to your team? What things could I say that could, impact them to the point where they really understand that our business is building successful people? And we have a vehicle called Primerica that will allow them to go as far as they want to go, get to wherever they want to get, do whatever they want to do, be whatever they want to be, have the opportunity to give back whatever they want to give back to whomever they want to give back to, and literally create a lifetime experience that will change the lives of so many people. I mean, I've never, I'm obviously, I'm not a missionary. I've done some missionary work for some foundations that I'm involved in, but I mean, I wanted to. I'm a capitalist. I wanted to build a business, okay. But the one thing that I learned in this experience, Jason, is we are missionaries. We are telling a story to the masses that can change their lives. And so, hopefully, in the time we have to share today, you'll get some inspiration to reflect on where you are, where you want to go, and really and truly what you need to do to get there. So, Jason, what can I talk about that can help the team here? You're still on mute there, Jason.
There we go. Sounds good.
Gotcha.
We're good. So, Coach, you always talk to us when we were early on in our and Eric and I's and Jackie and Brent's career. You would pass down the coaching to us, and you would always say, the road to success starts with developing a personal management philosophy. That's something that I always remembered, that you would, and essentially it was, Dad would pass it down to Eric and I now that I see, and after talking to you, after being in the business, I know that was something that you passed to Mom and Dad. Talk about a little bit about, that personal management philosophy and the mindset that it requires to go from a greenie, a brand new recruit, to seeing some success, and then again from, regional vice president and developing a really good base shop.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jason. That was one of the things in the early days that made a difference for me. So on June the 4th, 1973, chances are none of you folks were born in 1973, which does kind of tick me off, but that's another story. But on June the 4th, 1973, that was my first day full time. And I remember going into the office, and this was when we were still with ITT Financial Services. And Art was doing a meeting, and there was only a couple of us there in the meeting at that time, because if you remember, Art inherited this region down there in ITT before we went to Waddell and Reed, and so there were some older ITT type people there. Anyway, long story, he started talking about the key to your success will always be your ability to build a personal management philosophy. And of course, being a basketball coach, I had a philosophy of, the game and how to work with kids and things like that. And I didn't really quite understand what Art was referring to. And after the meeting, I went in and started talking to him. And I said, Art, that was a great meeting, but I don't understand how does Rusty Crossland or Jason, Ortiz, or Ed and Yvonne, or Willis Wright. I mean, how do I know when I have a management philosophy? Because I'm not quite. This is my first real experience in business. How do I know? And he looked at me with those steel blue eyes of his. He says, "Well, Rusty, you'll have a management philosophy when you have one." And I just almost laughed at him, but that's the Art Williams way. It's, oh, okay, I sort of understand that. I didn't understand it. And then, we would go back and he would do this over time. And finally, one day, we were in another meeting and I began to realize what he was saying. So I started taking notes, Willis, of everything that Art would say to me or say to us that seemed to be profound, that like hit me, and like, experience is the key to greatness. So I wrote that down. You're one recruit away from an explosion. I wrote that down. All you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. I wrote that down. And become a master of recognition. I wrote that down. And over time, I ended up with, this legal pad, Jason, of just dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of things that referred to those little nuggets that Art talked about. Like, you pass up negatives and you pass down positives. That was, another thing that, you leave your problems in the parking lot when you come to the office. You have to be a master of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm makes the difference. You have to be crusaders die hard. Okay, these are all these things that I would write down, and I began to realize. And by the way, it's interesting you mentioned this. I'm up in my office here, and I'm gonna be able to speak for a bit in Colorado Springs this next week. And my topic, or what I'm going to talk about, is a lot about what we're talking about right here. What did we do in the beginning that made the difference, that put us on a path to get to where we are today? And it's really, building a philosophy of leadership, building a philosophy of team, and an experience. And so what you have to do is you've got to take one other thing that I'm going to talk about this next week in Colorado Springs, is that all you have to do is look at the view of the people that are on this Zoom. We are the melting pot of North America. Jason, sometimes I tell people that when I got started in the business, Art was 29 years old. He is 80 this year, and we were just a bunch of young white guys. We didn't have any ladies, we didn't have any African Americans, no Hispanics. And then as time went on, we became America, and so the strength that we have today is truly in our diversity. Okay. And that's another thing I'm going to talk about this next week. So you have to, but the point I'm trying to make there is, I look at these people, that we have here on your Zoom, and each person has to develop their own personal management philosophy, because we're all different. not just in our race and our color and our religion and whatever else. We are different in the way we sometimes look at things. But the key is we're all trying to get to the same place, and we all perhaps might take a different route. But there are many things that connect us, even though we may be taking a different route to get there. And so you have to build that philosophy of what is the best move for you. And because of the growth that we've had and the diversity that we have, everybody's path, even though we're all sort of on in the same river, paddling our boats to a destination. Jason might be ahead of Eric, and Eric might be ahead of Willis, and and the way we're sort of navigating the Primerica experience, but we're all trying to get to the same place. I had a young RVP one time. Jason asked me, what should their goals be? And I thought for that, just a second. And I said, well, you should make as much as you can, as fast as you can, for as long as you can. And in reality, that's a pretty good goal to have. And as long as you're bringing other people with you and you're treating people the way you want to be treated, and you're doing the right thing, that is a unique possibility. I just am amazed at how much money some of our younger leaders are actually earning today. I just don't know of another opportunity like it. And so we have to take advantage of that. But you have to build a philosophy of leadership, and be able to build people in the way that will allow them the opportunity to get bigger and better. So you have to build a personal management philosophy, and there's a lot to that. Like, for example, one of the things we talk about, what Art talked about, is you correct people in private, and you motivate people in large groups and masses. You inspire people. One of the things I like to try to talk about is I want to inspire someone to become the person that I believe God intended them to become. Someone very special, and someone who has innate gifts that are perhaps in some cases, trapped inside. And from the stage, Jason, I always used to talk, and still do when I have the opportunity. Rusty Crossland wants to be the Art Williams in your life. I want to be the person that inspires you to go be the person that you're really supposed to be. And that's what Jason is trying to do, and that's what Willis is trying to do, and Eric and all the great leaders, mom and dad. That's what all they're trying to do. They want to be the Art Williams in your life. They want to give you what has been given to them, and then they want you to give that to what's been given to you. And if you do that, this is a pretty exciting experience. So you got to build some kind of philosophy of how you see yourself and your team, in the future. And there's just a number of little nuggets that will help you along the way there.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. And you would also talk about the art of recruiting can always be summed up into 3 simple words, right? 3 very, very simple words, and those 3 words have always been recruit, recruit, and recruit.
Right. See the people, see the people, see the people.
Yeah.
Let me. I do have a couple of things here. Let me quickly do this, Jason. I think this will help. So this is I do have some notes here that I happen to pull out of my book. What are your priorities for building a big business? What should your priorities be? And the first thing I put down here is that you have to build yourself. You have to build yourself. Hang on a second, because I think I do have. Hang on. Yeah, you have to build yourself financially first. You got to go out and make and save some money to be able to continue to grow. You always have to be in the team building business. You must lead, not manage your team. You must be the out front leader doing it first. You have to be the best recruiter, the best salesperson, the best motivator, make the most money. You as a leader, you have to be sort of at the top of the pile. You have to treat, lead, and promote people the way you would want it done to you. You have to build people, not sales. You have to build wide. There's strength in numbers. Build with fundamentals. Build with diversification. Build crusaders, not missionaries. Learn the people business. Be a great communicator. Work hard, smart, and aggressive. Never get satisfied. Be totally loyal and committed to the team and the company. One of the things in that little spiel right there about your priorities is never get satisfied. One of the things that's really, can derail the train, Jason, is you get satisfied. You start making a little money, you get to RVP, and RVP is the beginning of the journey. It's not the end of the journey. And so you can't, just because you're an RVP doesn't mean you've made it. You're on your way to making it. And you can't get satisfied. I would tell people all the time, and you guys probably would understand this perhaps more than the ladies, my motor's at red line all the time. My butt's burning all the time. Even today, when I see things or read things, that's why sometimes I get too dadgum political, because it just gets under my skin, and I apologize for that, but that's just sort of, my DNA. And I'm an intense player. I don't sit back, and watch as much as I want to, get in there and fight. And so I think that has a lot to do with our success as a team, and Rusty Cross's ability, to somehow get that thinking, inside of other people. And I talk about all the time, my responsibility, Jason's responsibility, Eric's responsibility, Willis's responsibility, all the RVPs on this call responsibility. You got to get down inside of the head of your teammates and readjust the knobs. You got to get them thinking in the right kind of way. Now, if you want your team to succeed, you got to be thinking the right kind of way. If you're off in the weeds somewhere, that's what's going to happen to your team. So that's why great leadership that are focused on the right thing, doing it all the time, not just sometimes, and having a philosophy of get up and get after it all the time and never get satisfied. I mean, that will lead teammates to the promised land. And that is so critical. It doesn't mean you don't take a vacation, or you don't take a breath, or go play golf or tennis, or, go for a hike. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you have to be on it all the time. One of the things that I talk about a lot, Primerica is an all the time thing. And it's a 24/7, 365 opportunity. And you should never miss an opportunity to tell your story. Any place, anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance. Because you never know, the person that you're in contact with might be the next Ed Ortiz. It might be the next Rusty Crossland. It might be the next Art Williams. You just never, ever know. So one of the things about your philosophy is you should never eliminate your market. Your market will eliminate itself. You should tell everybody your story. Not everybody is going to buy your story, but the key to building a successful Primerica business is understanding the magic of compound people. Okay, the magic of identifying winners and eliminating those that don't want to win. You know, we used to call them losers, but you know, they're not. They're just people that are unwilling to do what the winners are willing to do. You have to understand that activity is the key. You have to constantly be moving forward, looking for new and innovative ways to connect with people, to be able to tell your story, but never miss an opportunity to talk business. I love telling the story that I have 4 children, and all my children were born in Atlanta, and I recruited people in the father's waiting room of DeKalb General Hospital when all 4 of my children were being born. And I've recruited people on airplanes. I've recruited people on trout streams in North Georgia. You know, you have to have this mentality that Bobby Buisson was so funny one time. He drew this little Martian. He was trying to put together a recruiting presentation. He drew this little picture of a little Martian, you know, one-eyed Martian, and underneath it, he put Rusty Crossland. And it was like, you know, you just sort of, whatever you see, you recruit. Whoever you talk to, you recruit. And that's a mentality that Rusty Crossland had. And so I think that is something, and by the way, part of our personalities. I mean, most people don't like to talk to strangers. You know, I was just like everybody else, but over time you develop a confidence that you know you're talking about the right things, and you have the gift. You have a gift, and it's your responsibility to express that gift to anyone who will listen, and that it's their responsibility to determine if they want to accept it. And so the key is talk to everybody. So, you know, just, I mean, I could, you know, expound on that, Jason.
Hey, Coach, so, how long you started in the 70s? How long would you say you were in the base shop, in the field, to the point where you said, man, I got a business that's generating me on an income? Because I remember you always told me, you said, listen, you should never get comfortable until your business is generating at least $20,000 a month, right? You should never get to the point where you get comfortable up into that. So, you know, I want to ask you, you know, from the time that you started to the point where you got out of the field and it still generated you solid business, how long of a period of time did you dedicate towards Primerica, like building in the field?
Well, that's a really good question, Jason. So from 1972 till 1979, when I promoted our first RVP out of our base shop in Atlanta, and then we promoted two more after that. So I became an SVP in 1979. But in 1980, and in that vicinity, is when I started to recruit all these people around the United States. So our best base shop month was right at 1979, 1980. We did over 300,000 in our base shop, and we recruited, I remember this number, 384 people. Wow. In our base shop in 1 month. It was September of 1979. And that's when I had started building all those people around the country. And so really we had our base shop was everywhere. It wasn't just in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Because we had promoted a couple of RVPs, but then I started to expand around the country, and all those people, were eventually became RVPs. But in that first year and a half or 2 years, they were all in my base shop, and so we had huge numbers, and then we started promoting, huge numbers of RVPs back then. Sorry, I don't know what's in my throat here this morning. I know what it is. I haven't had my second cup of coffee. That's what the problem is. But let me. I think this will be helpful. I don't know if that answered your question, but
when did you get out of the base and you were like, man, I got this business going for you? So from 1972 to.
Yeah. So I was still in the base, still personally recruiting and personal field training in 1990. But I had already, I had pretty much already had established myself throughout the United States. I had offices everywhere in 1990, including all over Canada, which, was just another expansion. So, but once we got to that point, I realized that my greatest impact would be on Ed Von Ortiz, not on, the guy that I recruited, at McDonald's, or, the coach, at the school. And by the way, at that point in time, the compensation system actually paid me more for building Jason Ortiz and helping his business as an RVP than it did, recruiting a greenie and going out and making a sale, in the field. And then of course, the system changed, and that's just the way businesses are. But we had built such an enormously successful base of RVPs. And by the way, the system will pay you the most if you build a great base shop and build great RVPs, first generation.
Yep. And
then you teach those first generations to do the same thing that you've done. That's what Art taught us to do. Yep. He knew that building RVPs and going wide, he said, you build 7 to 10, teach those people to build 7 to 10, teach those people to build 7 to 10, and so on. You will build an organization with depth and width, and the depth, is your security, and your width is how you start. And but yeah, so I would say 1990. We still had. I was living in Destin, Florida at the time, up on the Panhandle, and still had my home up in Atlanta. But I felt like that at that point we had so many people. We were doing fast start schools everywhere. In Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, North Dakota, South Dakota. You heard that spiel. Washington State. We were all over California, Arizona, New Mexico. We were everywhere, and and we had North Carolina, South Carolina. We had Virginia. We had people up in Maryland. All over Florida. I mean, I was on an airplane all the time. Going to all these places. And building people. And so I think that's something that you need to get into your head. That and by the way, where you guys are, Jason, you're in Atlanta, and and I'm sorry, Willis, you're in Atlanta, and Jason, you and Jackie and everybody, and Brent and Ed, you guys are in an area where and with Zoom today, obviously you can recruit all over the country, but you have lots and lots of people in the area. There's a few people in Tampa, Florida that still haven't heard of Jason and Jackie. Okay. And Bryn and Eric, and just, or vice versa there, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Are you
but
good?
That's
good. Yeah. Hey,
so
Coach.
let me tell you this, and then we'll open it up for some questions. But here, when I talk about management philosophy, this is Rusty Crossland's management philosophy of what are the characteristics that make a really great recruit. Things that you can look for in people. And then what are the 10 qualities of a not so good recruit? Okay, now these are not, these are not, poured in concrete. Okay, they can be somewhat fluid, but they're pretty specific. Okay, so what are the 10 best qualities that you can look for in a great recruit? Okay, and by the way, I use the word great. You can kind of use that in any way you want, but these are the things that motivated Rusty Crossland. Number one, you've got to find someone who's motivated by money and success, by making money and success. They're motivated to make more money and they want to be successful. Number two, they're motivated by helping other people. They are empathetic kinds of people. They want to be somebody who goes out and helps other people become successful. They're motivated by competition. And there was a time, ladies, that we didn't think ladies were willing to compete. And so it wasn't until we got Virginia Carter, who was a competitive swimmer, that we realized that you gals probably had more of a competitive spirit than most of the guys on the call here. So you had to be motivated by competition. You had to be motivated by recognition. I don't know, I'm up in my office here in my home in Colorado. And you can see some of the background, of it. I got more crap on the wall than the law allows, okay? Rusty Crossland was totally motivated by recognition. Totally motivated recognition. Tell you a quick story. When I was a district at Waddell and Reed, I was the #1 district in the company. There was a contest where the company was giving away, and this ought to tell you a little bit, ladies, about the early days of Waddell and Reed. It was a Remington over and under 12 gauge shotgun. That was the prize. Now it was a 3200 Remington over and under shotgun. Really, 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 for those of you that care, a really nice gun, a really nice shotgun. And it was for bird hunting and things like that. I wasn't a hunter at the time. I didn't own a gun at the time, and it wasn't anything I ever thought of. I would never go out and buy it, okay? But it was the first prize. At the end of the contest in the United States of America, the #1 district and the #1 salesperson in the company that won that Remington 3200 over and under shotgun was Rusty Crossland. Not because he wanted to win a shotgun. It's because there was a contest that had a prize that he could win. Now, that's being motivated by recognition. You have to be intense. That's another great lesson in the quality of a recruit. What was Art's famous statement? I don't want to deal with, no dadgum disillusion, dadgum crybabies. He wanted people that were intense, that got up every morning and got after it. Okay, stayed up late, worked late, got up early, started again. You want to recruit someone that has compassion, that has someone who has understanding of being a good person and being a compassionate person, and knowing that we all are human beings and we all make mistakes. And the key is learn from your mistakes and grow and get bigger, and don't make them again. Someone who can think and dream big. Art Williams was a huge thinker. He was a big thinker. One of the things he did when we first started A.L. Williams is he told all of us, I want to take us to all the great places around the world. I want us to experience all the great things that the world has to offer. And, whether it's an airplane or big houses or, whatever is out there you know, it's there for the getting, and we can go get it. I mean, that's the thinking that he imparted on all of us. And so if you can find someone who's got big dreams and big thoughts and really wants to do something special, you know, that's a potential of a great recruit. Someone who is enthusiastic, okay? They're excited, they're motivated, they're turned on, they're get up and get after people. They're not people that sit back and watch, they're people that get up and go. That's the kind of person Rusty Crossland was. That's the kind of person Ed and Yvonne were, that they imparted and taught to Jason and Eric, okay? So you got to be enthusiastic. The next thing is they're workaholics. You know, I remember being in the field for something like 38 straight nights, if my memory serves me correct. I was in the field training every night of the week for 38 straight days, if I remember that. And in that particular month, Rusty Crossland made 27 personal sales in that span of time. And our team back then, we were the number one district in the entire United States. We had won all the awards. You know, we simply put our head down and we went after it. You know, when we got tired, you know, we took a breath, but we kept on going. Workaholics, people who show emotion. Rusty Crossland is a very emotional person. You know, I can shed a tear very quickly about many, many things. And so people who are emotional, that is not a weakness. I believe that's a strength. And because it gives you the ability to empathize and understand other people's trials and tribulations, and that's very important in building a successful business. So being emotional. Now, what are some of the things that you need to look for where recruits may not be all that good for you? Always blame others. We call that loser's limp. Okay. See only problems and are negative. Always make excuses. It's the other guy's fault. They want to manage, not lead. They want to tell you what to do instead of showing you what to do. They're not coachable. It's their way, not your way as a leader. They always want to do things their way. They don't listen to the education and the experience of Willis Wright. They may have uncertain family and financial problems. Now, that doesn't mean we exclude people. By the way, it doesn't mean we exclude these people, but it gives us an idea of the potential of their success. They're always late. They miss meetings. They're not on Zooms. You know, they're just not accountable. They don't have a natural market that's interested in talking to them. You know, if you hire somebody, you recruit somebody, and the first 10 or 15 people, you know, on their list doesn't even want to talk to them, that tells you they might not have a very good market. And then I did mention this also, they don't have accountability. You know, people that don't have accountability, Jason, the reason they don't have accountability is because they don't want you to know what they're doing, or they don't want you to know what they're not doing. And so these are just things that have helped me, you know, build our business. You know, so here's and by the way, you just tell me if you know Coach, when you want me to start. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, I was gonna ask you in closing, right? With you know, a lot of the teammates here, they really want to know, like, you know, sell the dream. You know, like what is it? How does it feel to have you know, put in the work that you've had And what does it feel like to see the success that you've been able to see, to live the life that you live, and live a life of total financial independence? Is it worth it? Is what a lot of people want to know on this call.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a good way to sort of close this. I think that, you know, if once you start seeing the benefits of your work and the efforts, you begin to realize that you want to share that, you know, with friends and family. We have done so many wonderful things. I've traveled all over the world. I've seen so many things. Many of you have traveled with me and with our team around the world, and we've been able to do things, go places. You know, but let me close with this, Jason. So have every once in a while, every once in a while, someone walks into your life that, if you're lucky enough, will change your destiny. It'll change the person that you will become. And in my life, that was October the 22nd, 1972. That's when Art Williams walked into my life. So, you know, if you're lucky enough, someone like an Art Williams will walk into your life and give you this opportunity. It's up to you to make it work, but we'll give you this opportunity. So have you ever thought about owning your own business? Being able to call the shots, not have to punch a time clock, not have to, you know, do the 9 to 5, not being told what to do and when to do it. When you really are in control of your life and your business. Have you ever thought about doing that? Have you ever thought about, you know, things like, you know, owning that dream home where, you know, you've got whatever it is you want wherever you are. You know, you think about it all the time, but you could have the opportunity to own your dream home. What about driving your dream car? I know that you guys get excited about the cars, you know. Drive the car that you want to drive. Live where you want to live. Maybe have you ever thought about having a beach house and a mountain house? You know, have you ever thought about that? What about your kids? Have you ever thought about being able to educate your kids in private schools where they get the best education, that they're taught the right values and the right things to live their lives by? And have you ever thought about being able to send your kids to wherever they want to go? What about if your kids have special needs? I have a special needs grandson. So what about if you can just, they never have to worry about being taken care of. You have a wherewithal. Have you ever thought about if you can, you know, you're the go-to person? Have you ever thought about, what about your mom and dad? What if there's a possibility, you know, if your mom and dad have worked for years and years and years and years, what if you could just retire your mom and dad? And let's just say, mom and dad, just go over there, enjoy your life. Here's the house I bought you. You know, don't worry about groceries. Don't worry about anything. We're going to take care of you. Have you ever thought about being that kind of person? What about, have you ever thought about being able to give back to your community, to your church, to organizations? I am so fortunate. I am on the board of 2 foundations that do incredible things. Incredible. We've been able to give millions of dollars because of all of you. Rusty Crossland's family has been able to give millions of dollars away to needy people. Have you ever thought about being that kind of person? Has that ever crossed your mind? What about this? What if you could travel the world, go to any place you ever would love to go, and see the things you want to see, meet the people, whether it's athletes or celebrities or great politicians, people that you believe in and trust. If you could do that, travel all over the world like that, and have someone else pay for it. What have I just described, Jason? Rusty Crossland has just described a very successful Primerica RVP. So if any of that stuff turns you on and you're not there yet, then you know what you got to do. You got to build successful people, and you have to build a business within a business. So I hope that helps, Jason, because that's Rusty Crossland's philosophy. That, by the way, that's how I close opportunity meetings.
Let's go.
That's how I close our opportunity meetings.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So hopefully that helps. I know I've gone over a little bit here, so I apologize for that.
Oh, no, Coach, you're good. You're good. If there's anybody that's going to go over, it's going to be a living legend. You know, Art Williams always talked about, right? The get 7 to 10 key people who get 7 to 10. And today we had one of the original 7 to 10 key people direct from Art, man. Coach, this was absolutely amazing. I know, as customary, we always have our coach, Ed, hop on here and just close it out real quick. So, hey, Dad, are you there? Brendan, if he can unmute or you can unmute him, that'd be great. Dad, are you there? There he is. There he is.
All right.
Hey, ¿qué pasó, amigo?
Hey, ¿qué pasó? Rusty, you're the man. You're nothing but the man. 2 times a man today, man. I'm telling you, I'm so excited to be here. Let me tell you, all I've done here is just duplicate Rusty. That's all I've done. I mean, my marching orders comes from Rusty. I mean, Rusty says this, boom, I've done it. And we're part of a great organization, guys. I mean, and we're so fortunate that we're direct to Rusty. Okay, and I'm talking about our organization. Our organization is direct to Rusty. It's not like there's many folks in between him and I. And let me tell you something. Whenever you're in this company and there's over 150,000 people, and they ask you what team are you from, what hierarchy you from, when you say I'm from the Rusty Crossland hierarchy, there's instant respect. All right, because Rusty's a founder. He's a founder, and I'm telling you, not only that, but he is a man of gold. I mean, great heart. I mean, this guy right here, Rusty, I will tell you, you have shown up in our life when we needed you the most. I mean, I remember, and you probably remember some of these incidents, and I remember in Spain when we were probably at the lowest, all of a sudden you showed up. You showed up in Spain, and you just, man, that little boost that you gave us was enough for us to just continue the mission and continue driving on. And I sincerely appreciate it. You showed us the world, man. You showed us the world. I mean, we've been doing the same thing to our team. As a matter of fact, with Rusty, we've been to Italy, we've been to France, we've been to Mexico, we've been to Hawaii, and this is on Rusty's dime. We've been to Costa Rica, to Aspen, Colorado, to Punta Cana, because the first time you mentioned that, I said, Punta what? Punta Cana. I said, okay, where's that? Dominican Republic. And we had the time of our life. I still remember Willis out there. That was probably his first trip. And Willis has taken the same thing. Willis just got back yesterday, taking 14 family members, team members to the Greek islands. And that all came from this. That all came from, expanding your mind, expanding your vision. And that's something that you have done for us. And I cannot thank you enough for that. I cannot thank you enough for that. And that's what happens when you're making, 50,000 a week, guys. That's where we're going. That's how this whole thing is going to develop. So we just got to stay focused. We just got to stay plugged in. And I'm telling you, we're going to go far. And I sincerely appreciate you, Rusty. I love you like you would not believe. Yvonne and I mean, we're just ecstatic. But Yvonne's in Puerto Rico right now, doing business over there, visiting family again, because of Rusty. I mean, if Rusty and that October of 1972 would not have gotten involved, I don't know where I would be at, to be honest with you. I mean, I'd probably be out there, probably retire from flying helicopters or something, probably making $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000 or $5,000 a month on retirement pay. But it's not like this last month, we got paid $86,000, guys. There's absolutely no way this would have happened if it wasn't for someone like Rusty. So Rusty, I thank you so much for being on this call. Jason, I thank you so much for setting it up. man, and let's just go ahead and continue moving forward. Let's continue doing what we know what we got to do. And we just you just expanded our minds. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. We love you, man. We sincerely appreciate you. Okay.
Thank
So
you. Thank you.
Jason,
Thank
I
you.
pass it back to you, brother. Not brother, son.
Yes, sir. No worries. Hey, Coach, I appreciate both of you guys so much. Hey, Rusty, we're looking forward to celebrating with you as the newest company $1 million income earners. Man, we're so honored and so privileged to take that torch and take it to the next level, man. I promise you can count on the Aviators to do that. And so, man, thank you so much, Coach. Really, 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 really appreciate y'all. With that being said, yes, sir.
Enjoyed it. If I can help, you know where to find me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Papa Rusty, Grandpa Rusty. That's what we got you for, right? So appreciate you. Y'all know who we are. Let's have an incredible day. With that being said,
we'll see you guys. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Love you,
Let's go.
Awesome.
Coach Rusty Crossland, great job. Thanks. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, DP.
Awesome, man.
Thanks, Jason.